The UK government's recent revelation regarding the amalgamation of the nation's space agency into a newly established government department might come as a shock to many. However, for those privy to the inner workings of the industry, this move was anticipated. Yet this strategic shift has sparked concerns among some experts who fear it may hinder the UK's aspirations in space and potentially weaken its standing within the European Space Agency, ESA. Let's delve into the details surrounding this pivotal decision. The UK Space Agency, UKSA, established in 2010 with the ambitious goal of propelling the UK's space and satellite sector into the forefront of the new space age, is set to merge with the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology, DSIT, by April. This significant change was officially announced on August 20th, with the government justifying the move as necessary to streamline operations and ensure clear ministerial oversight. The UKSA will essentially become a division within DSIT, which has been the sole financier of the agency since 2023. This consolidation is viewed as part of the Labour government's broader efforts to reduce government spending and civil service costs by 15% by the end of the decade. But here's where it gets interesting. Insiders reveal that discussions questioning the efficacy of the UKSA have been circulating within government circles since approximately 2020. One source, who preferred to remain anonymous, shed light on the situation, stating that around the time of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, BIS, then overseeing the UKSA, began to argue that the space agency had become isolated and lost touch with the diverse needs of other government departments related to space. The UK's approach to space exploration has differed significantly from that of its European counterparts, like Germany, France, and Italy. Traditionally, the UK has allocated a substantial portion of its resources to the ESA, rather than developing a robust domestic space program or establishing independent bilateral partnerships. Consequently, over 80% of the UKSA's budget is directed towards the ESA, leading to perceptions that the agency prioritizes ESA's objectives over the UK government's needs. The ESA, as an intergovernmental institution, separate from the European Union, enjoys a unique status that distinguishes it from other major space agencies, including NASA. As an independent entity, the ESA operates beyond governmental control and is shielded by diplomatic immunity. Despite facing criticism for issues such as bullying and breaches of labor laws, the ESA has maintained its special status, which has raised concerns about transparency due to its exemption from freedom of information laws. The UK, through the UKSA, following the publication of a Space Landscape Review commissioned in 2021, the UK government initiated measures to assert greater control over its ESA investments. The review suggested transferring the development of the National Space Strategy from the UKSA to DSIT's predecessor, BEIS, thereby transforming the UKSA into an implementation body. A subsequent report by the National Audit Office in 2024 identified inefficiencies in this arrangement and ongoing shortcomings on the part of the UKSA, including inadequate monitoring of project progress and failure to achieve a full return on investment in the ESA. The decision to fully integrate the UKSA into DSIT can be seen as a direct outcome of this review, preceded by the transfer of key personnel from the UKSA to the Space Department within DSIT. According to an insider, this move was anticipated and makes sense given the current landscape. Bringing together various government stakeholders responsible for the space agenda is particularly pertinent as the UK, alongside other European nations, recognizes the necessity to bolster its space-based defense capabilities. However, the UKSA has primarily focused on civilian space applications and scientific exploration. While the rationale behind the decision appears logical, some experts remain skeptical, particularly considering the timing of the announcement. which precedes an upcoming meeting of the ESA Council of Ministers. This gathering will determine the agency's funding for the next 3 years, and there are concerns that the UK's position within the ESA may be compromised by the merger with DSIT. The uncertainty lies in how the practical implications will unfold and how international partners will interact with the UK in this new structure. Moreover, critics argue that all countries aiming to be major players in space exploration maintain dedicated space agencies. France and Germany, the top ESA contributors, have their respective space agencies, CNES and DLR, which oversee complex space programs and significant developments, including the European Ariane rocket family. The creation of the UKSA in 2010 was met with enthusiasm as it promised to empower the UK's space policy and strategy. Inspired by the success of CNES and DLR in fostering robust domestic industries through ESA projects, the UK sought to replicate this model. Thus, the question arises, what has changed now? The absorption of the UKSA into DSIT has been likened to a return to the British National Space Centre (BNSC) model, which was responsible for the UK space program prior to the establishment of the UKSA. Critics argue that this model, characterized by a lack of independent budget and cumbersome negotiations with the ESA, may reintroduce similar challenges. The UKSA's dissolution into DSIT is seen by some as a regression to a less effective system. Despite these concerns, the UK space industry has experienced substantial growth during the UKSA's 15-year existence. According to the Size and Health of the UK Space Industry Report published in 2025, the sector has expanded by over 3.3% annually since 2010. Employing over 55,500 full-time workers and indirectly supporting an additional 81,000 jobs. The UK National Space Strategy, unveiled in 2021, outlines ambitious plans for the UK space sector, envisioning the country as Europe's leading provider of satellite launch services and a dominant force in small satellite manufacturing. So, what does this mean for the future of the UK's space endeavors? Will this decision prove beneficial or detrimental? We invite you to share your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. Is the UK on the right path to solidify its position in the global space race? Or is it risking its hard-earned gains by dismantling the UKSA?